Minister, thank you very much for your kind words and your very exciting words for the future of Romania's energy sector. I think it's fantastic. It's great to be here again in Bucharest, and I'd just like to say a few words about the geostrategic and maybe geopolitical significance of the Three Seas initiative and the Three Seas region, perhaps best exemplified by Russia's constant energy blackmail against Europe. There's no question that the Three Seas region is Europe's front line against Russia's energy war. And frankly, my first visit to Romania was in 1992 when I was still in uniform, and I was invited to visit Constanța, where I was hosted by a Romanian admiral who wanted some advice on how to transform a Romanian division into a riverine force. And that resulted in a partnership between General Zeca at the time and elements of the Romanian army that came to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where I became the commanding general, and we had training experiences and everything else, which I remember to this day. But in 2004, when I was privileged to be the NATO Supreme Allied Commander, I was there when Romania's accession to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization became a fact. And I remember our good friends in uniform, we had a big celebration at my house in Brussels, and it was a great day. I would also say, highlight the fact that it was during my time in NATO that I became convinced that energy security was at the top of the list, in addition to the traditional military worries of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but also cybersecurity. And the word security links both of those things together. And in 2004, in NATO, we did a study of the vulnerability of the energy, flow of energy and energy infrastructure, because I remember the words of Osama bin Laden, who threatened to attack the soft underbelly of Europe, in particular the flow of energy and the energy infrastructure. And to no surprise, we found as a result of the study that there was absolute vulnerability in our systems, in our ports, and our infrastructure. Fortunately, it never really materialized, the threat from Osama bin Laden, but it did materialize in the threat from Russia under Vladimir Putin, which is something that you have to live with more closely than almost anybody else in the world. So the Three Seas nations have been leaders on the continent for diversifying away from Russian energy and embracing transatlantic cooperation on energy security. To see Ukraine continue to prevail against Russian aggression is a good thing, and we need a strong and unified Europe backing Ukraine as much as we can. And that begins with empowering the Three Seas region to weaken and lessen Moscow's energy weapon. Much of it has already been done, but this also has to be a transatlantic effort that must be consistently in place for a long period of time. So therefore, it's vital that the partners in Washington and Brussels and Bucharest and elsewhere support this initiative as much as possible for the sake of Europe and for the sake of the transatlantic alliance as a whole. And as the minister just pointed out, it must be both public and private. But it's essential for the public support to be manifest so that it encourage the private sector investment. Climate change completely aside, a Europe which imports massive quantities of oil and gas is never going to be completely free of Russian influence in those markets. But I'm happy to know that the work of the United States has done to replace Russian imports on the continent has been vital to seeing Europe stand strong through last winter, and it will be even more important this winter. That needs to continue, but as we move beyond, we also must collaborate on a strong clean energy policy and the supply chains needed for a net zero economy. But by working together on energy transition, we can weaken the power of authoritarian nations who seek political power through the weaponization of energy commodities, everything from hydrocarbons to critical minerals. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a global fight between autocracies and democracies. And the outcome of that fight will have great impact on our future generations. So this is not something to be taken lightly, and it's not something that we should think of as a short-term struggle. I believe, personally, that a secretariat and working groups would help. In fact, I think the pace in which the 3Cs initiative can accelerate depends on some sort of governing organization in which speed and flexibility will significantly impact the decision-making ability of the 3Cs initiative itself. But we also need to make sure that the private sector is leveraged to the fullest extent to make investments needed for the 3Cs energy transformation. So we need to get creative on how we engage the private sector, and the Atlantic Council's recent recommendation to create a 3Cs Chamber of Commerce could be a powerful step in the right direction, but at least I'm happy that people are talking about what is the leadership element and how is it composed for the 3Cs initiative. So thank you very much, Minister. Thank you for the second time today for your presentation at the hotel, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be here with you, and I look forward to the conversation that follows. Thank you so much.